This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome to another Sports Catastrophe Birthday Boy. And the birthday boy for today, June 25th, is a Toronto Maple Leafs legend, despite the fact he played for other teams. I believe Calgary, St. Louis, Montreal, and Buffalo. Am I missing one? Chicago, okay. But he's now 59 years old. He was a 7th round pick in the draft. And he played 20 seasons in the NHL, winning a Stanley Cup in 1989. But he is an icon in Toronto history. He's inducted to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2011. And he was a decent player in the Memorial Cup. His name is Doug Gilmour. So Doug Gilmour was born in Kingston, Ontario. You know how Don Cherry likes those Kingston boys. Gilmour was only 5'9" in junior hockey, resulting in him being cut from several teams in his minor league hockey career. He was a defenseman, but he decided to be a forward and played Junior B with Kingston's team. He wanted to go to major midget hockey to get more ice time. Unfortunately, that actually worked out against him. Well, very good, because he was given a spot with the Belleville Bulls, but shifted to left wing. Belleville didn't want him, and Cornwall decided to pick him up, which was strange because Cornwall, even though they were in Ontario, they actually played in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. At times, Montreal had a team in the OHL, which was stupid. Cornwall said he would be an offensive defenseman, but decided to move him to forward. And Cornwall was the 1980 champions and all that. They represented Canada at the 81 World Juniors. That was when Canada sent their best quote-unquote team, like the winners of the Memorial Cup, as their national junior squads. But they struggled. There were 7 out of 8, and that was when Canada decided to do the program of excellence and have players from different major junior teams take part. Cornwall went to the 1981 Memorial Cup, and in the final they took on Kitchener and beat them. Fucking pissed. Cornwall ruined Kitchener's chances at the Memorial Cup. But in 1982, Kitchener got their own back, getting the Memorial Cup. Gilmour was unselected and went back to Cornwall. And Cornwall decided to move from Quebec to Ontario for the 1982 season. So Gilmour was unselected in the NHL draft. Gilmour did pretty well, 6th in the OHL in scoring. St. Louis decided to take a chance on him in the 7th round of the 82 NHL draft. And they went back to Cornwall, where he led the OHL in goals and all that. His 177 points in the 83 season were the 3rd highest. Still, it's the 3rd highest in OHL history, behind Bobby Smith and Wayne Gretzky. Both, I believe, in 1977. Gilmour decided to head to Germany to play hockey if the Blues weren't going to give him a contract. But they gave him a deal in mid-August 1983. Despite the fact that, St. Louis had their problems. They didn't compete in the 83 NHL draft because the uncertainty of the team, and they almost moved to Saskatchewan. So he played for St. Louis, and he was a good scorer for the 1986 team that actually made a run for the Cup, scoring 21 points in 19 games. Unfortunately, they lost Game 7. The Blues lost Game 7 of the finals to the Flames, the conference finals to the Flames. Gilmour broke out and looked pretty good for him. Anyway, there was some issues. Gilmour was sued because the parents of a 14-year-old girl said that Gilmour had sexually assaulted their daughter. And the lawsuit was dropped before the start of the 88-89 NHL season. Unfortunately, St. Louis traded him to Calgary because of that. So September 6th, Gilmour was traded with Mark Hunter and Steve Bozek to Calgary for Mike Bullard, not the talk show host, Craig Cox, and Tim Corkery. Gilmour on the ice helped Calgary out. They got the President's Trophy as the top regular season team in the NHL. They almost blew it to the Canucks in the first round, but they won in overtime thanks to Joe Otto's goal. But Gilmour was effective, especially against Wayne Gretzky in the division final, making sure that Gretzky couldn't establish his game. Gilmour would put up 11 goals and 11 assists in 22 games for the Flames when their playoff run. And Gilmour is credited with the game-winning goal in Game 6 of the Cup final between the Flames and Habs that got Calgary the Stanley Cup and became the first team since the 1928 New York Rangers to win the Cup as a visiting team on Forum ice. Now, of course, the 1928 Rangers beat the Montreal Maroons, but the Maroons and Habs shared the Forum before the Maroons folded in 1938. So, yeah. So Gilmour did his job. And helped Calgary out with his 2 goals, including that empty netter. A lot of people think Lanny McDonald scored the winning goal, but no, it was Gilmour. Anyway, Gilmour got into an altercation with Tom Webster of the LA Kings, like the coach, and got a 2-game suspension. Gilmour was not happy with his salary issues and decided to sit out the 91-92 season. So anyway, Gilmour actually did play for them. I thought he sat out, but anyway, he scored 38 points in 38 games with the arbitration process. And he decided to request a trade out of Calgary. He walked out on the club on New Year's Day, 1992, and then the next day, Calgary said, screw it, we might as well trade him. And they traded Doug Gilmour in the largest trade of players in NHL history. It was 10 players. Calgary sent Doug Gilmour, Jamie McCowan, Rick Nattrass, Kent Manderville, and Rick Wamsley to Toronto for Gary Leibman, Craig Berube, Michel Petit, Alex Godunyak, and Jeff Reese. And a lot of people said that that trade ruined Calgary for at least a decade. But I mean, Calgary had a few good regular seasons in the 90s, but just couldn't do it in the playoffs. The trade actually worked out in Toronto's favor. Well, Gilmour is Gilmour. Jamie McCowan was serviceable. Rick Nattrass, not so much. Ken Manderville, he kind of grew, but he faltered a little bit. And Rick Wamsley, nah, not so much. Calgary didn't have good feelings about the players they got. Gary Leibman went from Calgary to Montreal for Brian Skrudland, and Leibman won the Cup in 93 with the Habs. Craig Berube was nothing. Michel Petit didn't do anything in Calgary. Godunyak definitely didn't do anything. Jeff Reese, he was okay, but that's it. Anyway, the Leafs gave him a 4-year, $4 million contract. And Toronto did not do that well in 92, only winning 30 games. However, 20 of them were in the second half, so they weren't good in the first half. And after Gilmour's trade, it worked. Gilmour decided to switch his number from 39 to 93. People forget that Gilmour didn't wear 93 throughout his career. All throughout his career. With St. Louis, he wore number 9. In Calgary, he wore 39. However, in his first full season with the Leafs, Gilmour went off like a rocket, especially in 93, breaking the Toronto franchise records for assists and points. Both of them held by one Darryl Sittler. Gilmour, on February 13, 1993, actually got a 6-assist game against the Minnesota North Stars. Gilmour was in trouble for breaking Thomas Armstrong's forearm with a slash. However, he was suspended for 8 practice days, but no games, under Gil Stein's rule of suspending people from practice, but not of actual games. The Leafs posted their first winning season in 14 years when that happened, and they could have faltered to Detroit in the first round of the playoffs. But Gilmour did his job. He scored 35 points for the Leafs in their run to the Stanley Cup, which fell 1 game short in Game 7 against the Kings, which, that was pathetic. In the first minute of overtime of Game 6, Gilmour was cut on his chin after being struck by Wayne Gretzky's stick. And league rules at the time said that any player who caused an injury by high sticking could be given a 5-minute penalty. Kerry Fraser made no calling the play. He conferred with his linesman, allegedly, and they said no penalty. Gretzky remained on the ice and scored the game-winning goal. And, of course, that Game 7 performance and all that. Frazier said that it was one of his worst mistakes ever. Now, to be fair, Frazier thought that it was the follow-through of Gretzky's stick hitting Gilmour, which, if it was a follow-through, then, it's different. Anyway, Gilmour helped out. He even won the Selke for the NHL's top defensive forward and almost won the Hart, or the MVP, losing out to Mario Lemieux. But, Mario Lemieux came back from cancer and won the scoring title. Gotta give it to Mario. The Leafs agreed to a 5-year, $15 million contract in '94. As Gilmour thought he was going to complete his career in Toronto. He did good in 1994 and all that, taking 28 postseason points as the Leafs made it to the conference final but lost to the Canucks. He ended up fourth in MVP voting and second in Selke voting. Gilmour was given the captaincy in '94 after Wendell Clark was traded from the Leafs to the Quebec Nordiques. So Gilmour did his job, getting his 1,000th point on December 23rd, 1995. I remember that because I was at a cousin's house for a Christmas thing and watched the Leafs beat Edmonton 6-1. Gilmour was famously a massive sponsor for Milk TV commercials up north. With the Leafs struggling once again, Fletcher decided to trade Gilmour in '97 to the New Jersey Devils for Steve Sullivan, Alan McCauley, and Jason Smith. It was a decent move, but unfortunately Sullivan, McCauley, and Smith would find better works with other teams. Gilmour was not too happy because the Devils kept faltering in the playoffs. So, as a free agent, he signed with Chicago, and Chicago needed to resurrect their franchise and all that. Gilmour would be named the Blackhawks captain after Chris Chelios' trade to Detroit. Gilmour was part of the last game at Maple Leaf Gardens, February 13, 1999, playing for the Blackhawks and all that. Gilmour actually scored a goal and was actually given a standing ovation during the closing ceremonies. Gilmour had to go through a season-ending back injuries later on. Gilmour was traded to Buffalo in 2000, and Gilmour helped Buffalo make the playoffs. Gilmour did respectable, and then in 2001 he decided to sign with the Montreal Canadiens, which is like, what the hell? Gilmour is a Leaf legend, and he's going to Montreal? Oh, damn it. Gilmour was okay, and the Habs did make a great playoff run in 2002 to get to the Stanley Cup semifinals. Well, they would have been in the Stanley Cup semifinals if it wasn't for the Wilson miracle. Because that game would have given Montreal a 3-1 series lead and a good chance to move on to the conference finals against either Toronto or Ottawa. But Doug Gilmour was always famous. In Game 6 of the Habs-Carolina series, bad penalty, he decided to slam the penalty door shut. But the glass broke, and it was amazing. Gilmour would then be traded to Toronto by the Habs for a 6th-round pick. It was like, holy smokes, Gilmour's back in town. Toronto's going to look good this year, 2003. Unfortunately, Gilmour's second shift ended in disaster. In Calgary, with Dave Lowry and him playing inadvertently, Gilmour tore his ACL and was out for the season. So Gilmour's number 93 was honored by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Not retired. But by 2016, Leafs management said, screw it, we're going to have all the honored numbers be retired. And so, his number 93 was retired. Gilmour would be named head coach of the Kingston Frontenacs in 2008. And wasn't really that great of a coach and all that. Kingston famously in 2014 blew a 3-0 series lead in the first round to Peterborough. And then in 2017 he stepped down as GM and coach to become the president of the Frontenacs. Gilmour has been married 3 times and has 4 children. So yeah, he has a daughter with his first marriage, 2 sons with his second marriage, and a daughter with his third marriage. So anyway, yeah. So Gilmour scored 1,414 NHL points in 1,474 regular season games, 188 playoff points in 182 games. That's amazing, especially with the Leafs. He's a Leafs legend and all that. He was an OHL legend with Cornwall, who moved to Sarnia. So yeah, so he still has the OHL record for longest consecutive game point streak with 55. That's amazing. He still has the Leafs record for most assists in a season, most points in a single season, and in a single game, most assists. So yeah, Doug Gilmour is an iconic member of the Toronto fraternity, and don't you forget it. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.